Welcome everybody to the handoff, man. I feel like I've been doing this like for a full month now with all the guests that I've had on, but I wanted to bring this series back for those that didn't know to get you guys introduced to a lot of people that we respect in the content creating game, and also for me to sit back and let the experts speak about their own team so I can be a little bit smarter because that's what you come here for, right? You come here for us to know the teams, like the content creators that have talk about these teams, how they talk about them, right? And one of the guys that I respect for many years has followed our channel, and we talk a bunch on the back end and things like that about our own channels. And it's Jason from the JDW Sports Network. He's starting to expand some things that he's doing on his side, but first and foremost, he was a Indianapolis Colts content creator first, and naturally, that's one of our rivals in the AFC South. As people know that I'm a Jaguars fan, but without further ado, man, let's go ahead and bring the man, the myth, the legend on, Jason from JDW Sports Network. How's it going, man?
It's good, man. I appreciate you having me on. I think the last time I was on it was quite some time ago. I think you were just starting this thing. I think you were probably at 3, 4, 500 subscribers. But I mean,
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see where you have come. You've gone a long way. I mean, you're almost at 5,000 now. You have a couple of awesome people on your shows doing consistent shows. NFL Rush, love the Sliders. Sliders is probably my favorite series on YouTube.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, cursing, is that okay? Is
that
cool?
We're all good, bro. Like, hey.
All right. I know some people are iffy, some, but
man,
hey, man,
we're good here.
I love Sliders. Your places where I go to get college or any young player I want to learn about, because now I find myself going to anybody else. I'm like, can I trust this guy? But I know that you guys put in the work, and I know I could trust your content. So it's becoming more and more difficult to watch other people. But at the end of the day, I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to come back on, talk some Colts. I think last time I came on, it was the year Matt Ryan came on the Colts, which was not a fun year. So I'm excited to be back in a much better position where the Colts are right now. So thank you for bringing me back on, and let's get into this.
Yeah, man. It was during the Matt Ryan era, and you've had some up and downs, with Jonathan Taylor being injured here and there, and then the Anthony Richardson fiasco that I know we're gonna dig right into, because me and you are on the same wavelength the full time that happened. I mean, as a Colts fan, you're like, okay, we'll give it a chance, we'll see what's happening to Shane Steichen, but just after the quitting and going into the locker room to getting injured his first couple of games into the season, like, it hasn't been a good time to be a Colts fan for sure. But I totally feel your pain, because we tanked our team for 2 seasons to get Trevor Lawrence. that hasn't really panned out. But we will talk about Tyler Warren. I see my man Brandon is checking in. But first and foremost, man, since it's been so long, I mean, this is going to be a consistent series that I do, and it seems like everybody just loves to get the different perspectives from the different teams, and most importantly, I feel like I've gotten a lot better as an interviewer at this point in time, from not only being boots on the ground at a lot of these events with all the athletes that we've interviewed over the years, and how serious we've taken this when it comes to we want to be one of those premier sources, like you were saying, when it comes to not only draft coverage but just coverage throughout the year. And I've always liked to bring people I respect into the fold as much as possible. And, I've extended my hand to you several times throughout this thing too, but I always respect the ground from other people's side. So for people that don't know you, how you got into the game, how long you've been doing this, kind of give us a little bit of background for those that kind of, don't know you. And it's been a long time. So I think it's well justified for you to go and tell you what your position is now.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've always kind of wanted to get in the podcast game. When I first wanted to get into it, it was Andrew Luck retired. So I'm like, I just waited too long to get into it. But now we're into it. Now, I'm excited to get into it. I'm excited to, do this for a couple years now. Everything I've done, I have pretty much taught myself. I can't fully say that because I've learned a lot from you. So it'd be disingenuous if I would say if I taught myself everything. I have learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from other content creators. So I've kind of taught myself everything. I try to, in the beginning, I was a bit of a homer, and I think after a while, being a homer was kinda like, blah, but once I started to be a little more honest, saying what I feel, saying what I see, and not caring what people think or what they say,
Yeah.
that changed the whole game because, I mean, you're people are not gonna like you for they're always gonna find something to nitpick no matter what, so you might as well just be yourself, so
Facts.
that's a big development that I've come through, but yeah, man, it's just like it's always a learning process in this game. There's never a dull moment. There's never a dull day. It's every year, just like the draft, there's always new players. There's no draft that's ever the same. There's no player that's ever the same. Every player is like a fingerprint. There's no player that's like the same, and it's always exciting to dig in, learn about a player, and but yeah, in the beginning, the first time you had me on, I was kind of just the JDW Sports Talk Show, which was just me talking about the Colts, and then I started talking about the NFL. I'm like, I like talking about the NFL, but I'm more so a Colts guy. I know the Colts really well. I'll do weekly predictions here and there, but just talking about the Colts, feel like is where I'm best at. Um,
Yeah.
Now I got to network stuff, and it and the network stuff has brought on a whole new challenge, which I love. I love the whole new challenge. So, having kind of having people on, working with people, finding people who really want to do it. But yeah, that's all really has changed. I mean, I'm still a Colts guy. I'll do the weekly predictions for the NFL. Sometimes I'll dibble dabble into the rest of the league, and I tried to as much as I could, but working night shift, full time night shift, and then doing a couple of other things, running another business. Sometimes it does get tough, but I mean, just look at Dante here. I mean, he's got a full time job as well, and he for sure does what he has to do as well. So that's
Yeah.
inspiration that I get too. But hey man, it's just like learning every day, every single day. Like there's always a new mountain to climb in this game. There's never a dull moment, and yeah, it's kind of evolved just from the Colts to kind of like getting other people in there, working with more people, and then since I get more people on it, then it becomes a little easier to cover like the rest of the NFL because the more eyes you have on news, the much better and the easier it gets to kind of like talk about it, and you have more information for the people watching. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure. And it once you're in this game for a little bit and you meet different people, and I appreciate you saying that. You learned a lot from me because I do the same sentiment for the people that this wasn't a brand new thing where we learned on our own. So of course I've learned from people. I've took inspiration from a lot of people, and I kind of the hardest thing to do, like the slider series. I'm glad that you love that series because that you can tell a lot of love gets put into it. And it takes us a long time to put those videos together, but it was a passion project that became something that is our identity now. Like when it comes February, people start itching and scratching to see who's going to be the first one to be on sliders now. And Tyler Shuck was the first video, and it blew up. And now when the Saints drafted him, that it was like we were like the first video people came to. So it's kind of that's awesome to hear, and that's always the hardest part of doing this, right? Is like, what is the idea that no one else is doing that I can capitalize on? And it comes with time. It comes with a lot of trial and error. It comes with a lot of videos that are not getting the views that you wanted to get. And of course, you got to take the successes with the heartbreak as well. So you want to appreciate the things that are successful in your life without appreciating the fall of some other things too. So, but yeah, I mean, where you're at, and we've had conversations about the things that you're doing now, and you know, taking that next step into just growing your channel and working with people. Working with people is the hardest thing to do.
it is.
I'm not even. We, I'll talk to you about this behind the scenes. Like that is the hardest thing to do because you want to be the face of your network or of the thing that you're doing. And when people come to ECG, they know the constant is like 99% of the videos Dante's going to be on. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Like 99% of the things that happens on my channel, I'm going to be on because people expect that. But it's hard to get those other people like involved to be like, you need to be the face of this, and it's okay. And then you start getting into the money aspect, and it just starts getting mucky. And it's like, can we just do this for the passion first?
Exactly.
And if we all put the hard work in, the abundance of money and things that can be made once everybody puts their heads together is unlimited, but you
Yep.
got to be able to put in the work. So yeah, I mean, you work at a full-time job trying to keep this thing afloat. I work 50, 60 hours a week on my normal job, and I still find time to put out quality content. So I always tell people that time that you think about that you were spent doing something that's like, I don't know, just sitting on your couch eating potato chips, scrolling through TikTok. That hour that you did that, you could have been dedicating an hour to creating a really awesome video. So, balancing your time is one of the hardest things to do in this content game. So, I definitely want to, pivot, get right over to the Colts, man. Let's start with the Anthony Richardson thing for sure. I mean, take me through your mindset when Shane Steichen's here. We got to make a move. We got to make a splash move. Anthony Richardson looks otherworldly in the measurables. I'm not a measurables guy, and we tried to warn everybody that this guy was not going to be it. Even Sora, who's a Florida guy, tried to warn everybody. The guy's never won anywhere he's been, and that trend is continuing. So when they made that pick on draft night, you sitting in your chair watching this happen, seeing that thing show up on the ticker, how did you feel as a Colts fan, and kind of where's your mindset now for him?
Well, when they called that name, I was excited, man. How could you not sit in your chair? You're watching your favorite NFL team pick 4 overall. You think, okay, they're going to pick 4 overall. They're good chance. They're being picked this high. They should be a high quality talent. They should have a a huge ceiling. Which Anthony Richardson, his ceiling is is the stars and the moons. I mean, he could be
The
whatever.
ceiling's is Cam Newton,
Right, but
really, truly.
But at the end of the day, yeah, he was as young as, he was young, this huge arm, he could run all over the place. That's all cool and all.
Yeah.
But if you can't read an NFL defense, if you can't be accurate, I've been hearing stories that he is having a hard time being accurate in OTA in OTAs, like just doing drills. And then you have these people who are going crazy over these throws and OTAs, no pressure, no defense, and no defense to read. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy to get to his position where you're draft number 4 overall. I'm not trying to chip at the player. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but at the end of the day, he's just doesn't seem like an NFL type of quarterback to me. Like going back to draft day, like I said, I was excited. You get emotional. It's your favorite NFL team. Sometimes you just have to try to be excited. I know how you are at Trevor Lawrence. It has to be a little bit similar in that aspect. It's just like,
very much so.
It's just like, I just don't understand why some people go to the ends of earth to protect him so much as well. I get it. He's your favorite NFL team's quarterback. He's your future. He's supposed to be your future. You're supposed to be excited, and it's okay to be. But I think it's also important to sit back and be like, hey, those highlights, that draft night that those guys showed you on the big networks, those don't always mean everything. You have to sit back, sometimes going, if you can't necessarily, see for yourself, go and watch a trusted content creator like Dante, East Coast Gridiron. These guys, they know their stuff here. I mean, go and watch these guys. They will tell you the truth. They watch the film. And once you dig into that film, these guys will tell you that Anthony Richardson is he's an elite athlete. But is he an NFL caliber starting quarterback? I think maybe he could play a Taysom Hill type of a role.
Yeah.
But a full-time starting quarterback in the NFL, I just don't see it, man. It's been two years now he's been in the NFL. He's been hurt half the time. And, a lot of people also want to bring up he's very young. A lot of people want to bring that up. But, I mean, Trey Lance was very young. He was only 20 years old. Sometimes you look at some of the older quarterbacks that come into the league. Sometimes the more experience is better. You like them, to play in a program, like a program. You want them to stay in college for a couple of years. You want them to learn the game, not just go to college and come right back onto the NFL that fast. You know what I mean? It feels like when players stay longer, they're building something more than just football, which eventually bleeds into football later on. Like you learn how. I don't know. I don't really know how to say that fully, but it feels like the longer you're at a college program, you're in like Like Penn State, for example, like they're a traditional program where they like their quarterback to be there 3-4 years. Like a Drew Aller. Look, I'm not saying Sean Clifford was great, but just for example, him staying there as long as
He
he
won the
did.
Rose Bowl. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
we had Colin on the other day, who's a Penn State guy, and we reminisced about, yeah, Sean Clifford may not have been the best. He didn't lose a lot of games, but he definitely stayed there for a while, and kind of like the icing on the cake for them was winning a Rose Bowl and him having the best game of his career when it really mattered. So,
right.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you're right.
Exactly. And people are looking, and there are exceptions to the rule, but usually the exception does prove the rule as well, in this case too. It's like Anthony Richardson's fun, he's exciting, but remember the combine, he threw the ball. I mean, look at Will Levis. Everyone's crazy about Will Levis's arm. I mean, I learned the hard way with Will Levis. I did. I learned the hard way, but it's easy to get caught up in all those fun attributes and the big arm, the way he could run people over. But at the same, in the same aspect, if you're trying to run people over and you're getting hurt every other week, you're hurting your throwing shoulder, you're hurting this or that. It's just like, why are you gonna keep running people over? This isn't college where you could run people over consistently and not get hit hard. You get hit in the NFL. You get hit hard every single play. These guys are the strongest. These guys are the fastest. So
Absolutely.
it's not wise to do this, as we saw with Andrew Luck did that pretty often when he played. He always looked for contact and never really slid. And you could also say Colts didn't really have a great offense. Okay, I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole, but you get my point. You get my point. It's just at the end of the day, I just don't think he has what it takes to be the future. And then tapping out, we'll talk about that more in a couple minutes maybe, but I'd like to hear your side as well. I don't want to, I do want to hear your side.
Yeah, it's funny the names that you bring up, right? Like we talk about Anthony Richardson and then Will Levis, guys that we warned everybody about. And it's easy to toot your own horn at this aspect, but then on the other side of that, it was like we broke down the film. We told everybody that, like, as a former coach, I didn't play in college, I didn't coach in college, but I've studied this game long enough to know that just like the Raiders fans are going to learn a hard lesson with Dante Thornton. Just because you're big and fast doesn't mean it's going to make you great. You were a third stringer for a reason. You transferred from Oregon when you had Bo Nix as your quarterback and Kenny Dillingham as your coach. And you said that if you watch my Oregon tape, which wasn't as good because you had a 17% drop rate there, you are what you are at the end of the day. And unfortunately, and it's funny that Will Levis comes up because he was at Penn State too, backing up Sean Clifford. So it all comes full circle. But with Anthony Richardson, man, I mean, it's hard not to be hopeful for the kid, because one thing I can say about Anthony that all of us love, I'm sure you do too, is like he's a media darling, man. Like always says the right things, so good for the team. He's not a distraction. He outside of, obviously quitting in the middle of the game, but outside of that, when it comes to the perspective of being a media guy and being like the face of your franchise, he has all those intangibles. But when it comes to the play on the field, man, it's so exciting to watch you in practice and in the underwear Olympics. But can we just get a little bit of that inside the game? We've seen glimpses of it, like first couple of games that he played before he got hurt. Okay, well, we can work with this. Even last year had some glimpses here and there. There was a couple passes to Josh Downs down the field that you're like, wow, this is incredible. And then Joe Flacco comes in and looks better than you, and it's like, and then you got Joe saying, I'm not anybody's mentor. And I'm sure that didn't help Anthony Richardson having a guy like that in place too. I blame a lot of that on Joe. Like I feel the same way with him on the Browns. Like, dude, at this point in time, the success that you had, we understand the quarterback that you were, man, with the Ravens, but you have this dude with otherworldly talent. When you want to be known as the guy that's like, let me put my arm around this guy and try to get him to be the best pro as possible, now you're just going to be known as an asshole now, because that's what Joe Flacco has made himself into, regardless if he says it or not. I get that you're a competitor, But I just watched, I brought this up and Colin was at the Elite 11 with me, and that's how we kind of met. But one thing that Chad Henne said to those kids in high school was, I prepared like I was the starter every day, but Patrick Mahomes was the guy. Like, I just had to deal with that reality, but it made him no better if I didn't prepare as a starter either. So you could have that mentality like you're the starter, but I think Chad was willing to put his arm around Pat and say, you got all the talent in the world. Don't blow it. Prepare hard. Don't come in here and think that everything is handed off to you because you're the guy. And I don't think that whole Joe Flacco experiment was good for Anthony Richardson. Maybe, and this is the year that he got hurt, right? Having Gardner Minshew come in. I think Gardner Minshew, it brings the locker room mentality. He's a great guy to be around, but he's too young to be a mentor to somebody like AR. So unfortunately, the Colts have fell victim to just like two unfortunate situations for Anthony Richardson. And is there still hope there that he could be something? Maybe. But now you bring another Gardner Minshew in with Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones is the most talented quarterback that's been there in years for you guys. Well, me and you agree on that. Like, unfortunate situation after unfortunate situation. The upside is really high. He's had some really bad lows, but if he sucks this year, if Anthony Richardson sucks this year, it's their own fault. Like, because they got everything that they need, right? And that leads me into the first overall pick for you guys that I didn't think was going to be there. I thought that Colston Loveland was probably going to be your pick because I thought Tyler Warren might have went to the Bears, and it flip-flopped. And of course, a lot of mocks had Tyler Warren going to you guys anyways. Like, was a perfect pick. I mean, you couldn't have hit the nail on the head better than you did with that pick. And how are you feeling as a Colts fan? Is this like, man, we knocked it out the park? This could be Dallas Clark 2.0 for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, if not even more than that, what's your thoughts around Tyler Warren and how are you feeling about that?
I love the pick. I mean, we haven't had a solid tight end like this since Dallas Clark. I mean, you could put Jack Doyle in the mix there. Jack Doyle was a jack of all trades. I mean, he was good at everything, good at blocking, good at receiving. He was not great or like he's not going to blow your socks off in any way that he played the game, but he was solid.
Yeah,
I would even say that he is like a Jack Doyle on steroids. Like he could do everything that Jack Doyle could do, just
that's a
at
good
a
pull right there. I
at a
forgot about
yeah.
Jack Doyle.
He's just like he's just like a Jack Doyle on steroids. He does everything really well. He brings a really fun aspect to the middle of that field, which I mean, you look at some of the best teams in the league who are consistently making the conference championships, the Super Bowls. I mean, they have great tight ends.
Yeah.
Look at Travis Kelce, George Kittle. The Eagles always have a really good guy, Dallas Goedert. I mean, the George Kittle. I mean, there's always a really good tight end on those best teams in the NFL. So I think that's important right there. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be Anthony Richardson's toy to play with. I think this is going to be Daniel Jones's toy to play with week one. I think Daniel Jones is going to win the battle, and I think he's going to be a starter week one, and that is only going to be the best for the Colts. I mean, you look at when you have a really good tight end, it opens everything else up for everyone else. I mean, it's good. I don't know how. I don't think people really realize how important a really good run blocking tight end is in the NFL, how much better that
Yeah.
makes your run game. Jack Doyle, when Jack Doyle left, we felt that dip in the run game a little bit. We absolutely did. Even though we did have JT, but there was like a transitional period there for Mo Ali Cox when was still kind of learning. He was really raw coming to the NFL. I think he came right from basketball, which was interesting. I don't really know how I feel about that, but I mean, he transitioned well into being that blocker, not a good pass catcher, which Tyler Warren's going to bring us. Haven't had in a long time. I think Tyler Warren is just going to open. He's going to help that part of the game in terms of run the football. I think Jonathan Taylor's in for another huge year, like he was the Carson Wentz year, especially if Daniel Jones starts. Because don't forget, Daniel Jones can move as well. And Anthony Richardson is this crazy athlete, but I think people forget that Daniel Jones can still move too. I mean,
oh yeah, they call him Vanilla Vic for a reason, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So Daniel Jones, he could still move. So if you think about it, Tyler Warren going to come and help that running game. He's going to help the passing game. Tyler Warren is just a 10 out of 10 pick in my eyes. And, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Colts fan. If you've watched any of my content, any of my Colts content the past couple years, I've been the Colts' biggest critic. But I think you look at that pick, that's an awesome pick. It's only going to help open. I mean, Josh Downs has been awesome. It's only going to open things up for Josh Downs. Pittman, Pierce had a breakout year last year. A.D. Mitchell, I think A.D. Mitchell still has a potential to break out. I think if someone gets hurt or
The potential for Adana is so high, man, and I think the same thing about Alex Pierce, man. Like, I think, let me be honest here when I say this. I think Alex Pierce could be better than every receiver on that team.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think he could be your number one. Is that realistically what's going to happen? Probably not. But Alec Pierce has showed that he has the skill set to be, got the size, the speed, the hands, has made some amazing catches for you guys on the sideline. Like, he's a first down threat every single time that he's out there. And so, Michael Penix Jr. or Michael Pittman Jr., I haven't been the highest on, man. I'd love to know your thoughts on him too. You said trade him? Okay.
Listen, I love Michael Pittman. I think the biggest loss is not only his field play, but he is a phenomenal locker room player. He brings the energy. You see his YouTube channel. He brings the energy. He's a really good locker room presence. But at the end of the day, we have 3 really young and hungry receivers. I think you might as well go and get something for Pittman now while you could. Thing is, you're paying Pittman $20 million a year. That's why receiver 1 money. I love Pittman, like I said. I think he's way too inconsistent. I don't think he has proven to be wide receiver 1. When he has been the guy, I mean, you could say the quarterback situation has sucked, but Alec Pierce, Alec Pierce has found a way. Even the quarterback situation has sucked. Josh Downs has found a way. So I don't see the excuse for Michael Pittman not to be able to take that number 1 receiver spot and take it by the horns. He has not. He's been too inconsistent. He disappears at times. Michael Pittman is a flashy contested catch receiver with decent route running and really damn good hands.
He's a poor man's DK Metcalf. I mean, I've always said that. He's just, if you split DK Metcalf in half, it would be 2 Michael Pittman Juniors. Like, I agree with you, bro, because like a lot of people will argue with me and say that no, Michael Pittman is legit. He is the ultimate number 2 receiver if there was any, like in the league. I've never seen him as a number 1. Because why would you go and draft Adonai Mitchell? I mean, that's the most obvious thing there. When you have Alec Pierce and Josh Downs there was no reason. I mean, Anthony Gold, obviously a special teamer, but can play wide receiver too. I love that guy. But, you bring Laquan Treadwell in and like you're shoring up that wide receiver room. There was no need to draft Adonai Mitchell if he was the absolute guy. That's not the case. He's there to take your job. And especially if he goes off this year, I'm going to tell you what, Daniel Jones is going to have the most healthy wide receiving core that he's ever had. He's playing behind the best offensive line that he's ever had. Jonathan Taylor's there. You guys go and get Khalil Herbert, who's underrated as shit.
DJ Giddens, that was I think that was Khalil's guy, right?
We love DJ Giddens. He wasn't in my top 5, but I love DJ Giddens. Like, he was so hard for me to rank. But DJ Giddens is your all-around guy. He's the ultimate compliment to Jonathan Taylor. But the one thing, man, that I'm excited to see is Tyler Warren line up in the H-back and block for Jonathan Taylor.
Ooh, that sounds awesome. That just sounds awesome. And you know what? It's even better that he's coming from Penn State because they like to run the football. That's their thing. So his run blocking, his instincts, his everything in that department is going to be beautiful. Yeah, he's probably going to need some refining. He's coming to the NFL. It's a whole different ball game, but Tyler Warren, man, he is going to bring this offense to the next level if Daniel Jones is starting, not Anthony Richardson. Like I said, we talked about AR. DJ, he's been through hell and back. I want that guy starting for my team, not the guy that said I was tired and took himself out of the game. On 3rd down in the red zone. Is it okay if we transition into this now? Do you have anything else for?
Hey, I'm in your world, so let's. Yeah, man. If it was, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
It's just like we get it. The NFL is a hard sport. I'm not trying to sit here and say it's easy. I'm not trying to say any of that. So don't take it that way. But Anthony Richardson, man, I mean, third down, third and long. So maybe he was thinking this third and long. Okay, we're probably not gonna get it. Doesn't matter. You still don't take yourself out regardless. It was third and
Correct.
long, close to the red zone, close to scoring. You say, Coach, I'm tired. He literally tapped out. I mean, he literally tapped in his helmet, tapped out. Some Coach, I'm tired.
The
Take me
rule
out.
is with quarterbacks has always been, even in Madden, quarterbacks don't come out because they're tired. They come out when they get hurt.
Even in Madden, oh my god.
Like even Madden don't pull. They
Yeah.
don't pull them. You see that damn stamina bar all the way to 0. They ain't coming out. This is
No,
what it is.
no. And I always brought up this point. How about his offensive lineman keeping his ass upright? You know, do you think they're not tired? I mean, they've got to be tired as hell watching you run around protecting you. It's just, don't tell me that the receivers weren't tired, the linemen weren't tired, the running backs weren't tired. Come on, man. I mean, it's just like it's such a bad look. I think I said when this happened, I said that it was disrespectful not only to his teammates but his coaches. I thought it was disrespectful towards the entire sport. Imagine being a high school quarterback. Imagine being, a quarterback in college and going to coach and say, "Hey, coach, I'm tired. Take me out a couple plays." You're probably not going to be starting again. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
so bad for the locker room, and this is the NFL. It's so bad for
it
the
is.
locker room. How could you get behind that? Like I said, Anthony Richardson, phenomenal human being. He's the kind of guy you want to show up on your doorstep and take one of your kids away, take your daughter
Absolutely.
away. But football wise, like leadership wise in the locker room, that's how you lose a locker room very quickly. That's how you lose people.
Yeah, man. When you said it was bad for the sport, it absolutely was. I mean, it was like the flag planting in the ground for that, because you have proven everything that every linebacker from the early 2000s, Zach Taylor to Ray Lewis to Brian Urlacher, Ed Reed, all these guys that have, I'm sure if Sean Taylor was still alive, he'd say the same thing. Like, the league is soft, and you just made it softer. You just proved our point. Like, let's be honest here. And for him to be as big of a dude that he is, to look as well conditioned that he does, to tap himself out, like I said, it's funny when it's being said, but it's true. Quarterbacks in Madden don't tap themselves out, and their stamina be at 0 sometimes. It's just a golden rule. You don't come out unless you're hurt, man. And I always think about it like this, man. You said it's disrespectful to the leagues, disrespectful to his teammates, disrespectful to the organization, disrespectful to the AFC, disrespectful to the fans watching at home. It's all of that. But indirectly, it's disrespectful to Andrew Luck.
That brings it
And
to a whole new level. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that brings it to a whole new level.
because this offensive line that you guys have right now, maybe some years it was better, but let's be honest. This is if Andrew Luck was in this offense with this offensive line, which was always the case. Like, we could argue till our face turns blue about Chris Ballard and the drafts that he's had. But the one thing that Chris Ballard did the first 2 years he got there, drafting Quentin Nelson, getting those guys up front to prepare Andrew Luck to be the guy that he was. It was just too little, too late. We all sat at home and cried when he did his press conference. He's the same age as me. If I was playing in college, we would have came out the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, it felt a little bit different to me on a personal level. But at the end of the day, it's disrespectful to a guy like Andrew Luck that never quit. And he showed it through the injuries that he had, and he retired because he never quit. He literally did. He couldn't take anymore. And for you to just, I'm out. The fans should be booing you, not Andrew Luck, when he decided to retire.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I couldn't have said it better. It cannot be said better than that. That you're hitting the nail right on the head. I mean, I was closing my eyes trying to reimagine, go back and enjoy those days. When Andrew Luck finally had an offensive line. Oh, we were up there. We were
You're
one of
allowed
those
to clip
teams.
that and put that on your channel, by the way.
All right, man. But I mean, man, it's just. I mean, Andrew Luck played an entire. I mean, he played the second half of the Broncos game. I don't know if you remember this. The Broncos, I think it was the year that they won the Super Bowl. That Super Bowl winning defense, and
Yeah,
you know how the Colts were before Chris Ballard, Ryan Grigson, former bus boy. Let's hire a former bus boy to be the GM.
right.
I mean, he lacerated his kidney in the first half of that game. You know, they say it's very painful. It sucks. It hurts, and he didn't know until the next morning. But that second half, they were down multiple scores. Andrew Luck finds a way with the lacerated kidney to come back and win that game against the eventual Denver Broncos Super Bowl winning defense. And then the full year after that, he or it might have been the same year, he played with a torn shoulder the entire year, still threw 31 touchdowns, still played the entire year, gave his team the best shot that he could. So Andrew Luck is the reason why Colts football stayed on the map after Peyton Manning. How many people could fill Peyton Manning's shoes? Not many. Andrew Luck did it. And I would argue, this is no disrespect against Peyton Manning, I would argue that Andrew Luck is more talented than Peyton Manning. He just didn't get long enough to, he didn't get the real opportunity with a solid football team around him, someone, you know, with football building knowledge, someone with that, you know, that can build a legit team around him to give him a chance to go and win something. I mean,
I own 2 Colts jerseys. One of them is Jonathan Taylor, and the other one is Andrew Luck. And I'm a quarterback guy. I've never purchased a Peyton Manning jersey. And I can tell you this, man. Like, I remember watching Andrew Luck at Stanford his sophomore year. And I called my dad. I remember calling my dad. I'm like, you know about Andrew Luck's dad? He was like, yeah, he was all right. I was like, yo, his son, Andrew Luck, is like pro ready right now. I don't care that it's Stanford. I don't care who his coach is. Like, he looks like an NFL quarterback. And when Peyton Manning had that neck surgery and was out, there was some idiot the other day in our chat talking about that the Colts tanked for Andrew Luck. Stop. Like, tell me you don't know about the Colts history of anything without telling me you don't know. When you guys went and got Andrew Luck, I was like, man, the Colts couldn't have got as lucky as they did. And I'm so glad that you guys didn't trade up to try to get Robert Griffin III. I was like, please don't do that. Please, like, let Robert Griffin. I knew that he was going to have the career that he had. I knew he was going to be a flash in the pan his first year, and then bust potential the rest of the time. But yeah, man. So I could talk about Andrew Luck all day. That and I don't know how you feel about this. You probably heard me say this, and I think we talked about this a little bit when I was at the beach. But just to bring it back up for those that don't know, like, I think there should be certain wings in the NFL Hall of Fame, and should be dedicated to people that just, like, under certain circumstances, whether it be injury, but like the trajectory of Andrew Luck's career. I think that if you went around the league and you'd be like, who career got cut short that obviously people would probably say Barry Sanders, but like literally got cut short because of shortcomings. Who would you want to come back and see at full health, just like in his prime one more time? I'd be hard pressed to say that 70% of the people in the room wouldn't say, you know, that they would say Andrew Luck for sure.
100%.
I mean, I think he's a Hall of Famer in his own right for what he. I mean, it even goes to the mental, right, Jason? Like, you're having to come in for one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, known for the battles against Tom Brady, finally got over the hump, won the Super Bowl, you know, and hosting that Lombardi for the first time since Johnny Unitas, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been that long since you guys have felt that, you know, that aura around the Colts, from even the Baltimore debacle. Like, it's been nothing but just bad times, on top of just having really good seasons that you couldn't get past Tom Brady, and that host that Lombardi for the first time. Then another thing happens with Peyton Manning with his neck. Then his ups, you know, the highest of ups when you get Andrew Luck, and he hasn't since the first couple of games didn't look that great, but by the time the fourth week came, he took off. You know what I'm saying? I just think about those moments a lot, man, because, like, not only is he my age, but like seeing the talent that he was, and for me having that conversation with my pops, calling him and saying, "Who, you know who Andrew Luck is?" to where he is right now, being the GM for Stanford, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll never forget that. But, kind of, let's get into, as a Colts fan, when all of that went down with Andrew Luck and everything, like, I mean, how did you feel? Was it like, we're never going to find a quarterback like this for a long time? Our franchises, like, what was your mindset during that? Because I know mine was emotional, but from a Colts fan, like, how did it feel when you heard the fans are booing them and everything?
I felt like we not only lost a great player, we lost like the future of football in Indianapolis in a way.
That's a great point.
I mean, since Andrew Luck, one of the Colts, I mean, we've had 20, 30 some different starting quarterbacks for games, whatever. It was such a big loss, man, obviously. I mean, I don't even know how else to put it, how else to keep putting it, because it's just like, we keep saying it and saying it, but like, I don't think we'll ever be able to really put it into words, what he was capable of doing. I was thinking that how what Tom Brady was to Peyton Manning, he was the thorn to Peyton Manning. I was thinking maybe Andrew Luck could be the thorn to Patrick Mahomes or, something like that. I thought that was something fun to think about, but
it would have
yeah.
been, yeah, man. Oh my
Where would
gosh.
Mahomes be? Would Mahomes have all of these Super Bowls? Would Andrew Luck maybe have one or two by now?
I literally thought it was gonna be. Yeah, it's so hard to put him because he came a couple years before they actually went off, right? But like Burrow and Patrick Mahomes is who you think about, and then you have Lamar. It most likely probably would have been Lamar and Andrew as the top dogs. Now that I think about it, more than Burrow and Peyton, or more and Patrick. But it would have just been so good for football. We've had the AFC would have been at the highest of highs. Like there'd be no debate. Like who's got the better quarterbacks? AFC: Burrow, Andrew, Patrick, Lamar, Josh. Like, I mean, it's like that right now. I mean, it's hard to debate that they don't have the best quarterbacks, but it would have been rock solid. We would have had an AFC Super Bowl champion every single year.
Right. Yeah.
If he was there.
You go back to when he retired. It's one of those things I'll never forget where I was that day. I was at a demolition derby up in Hartford, PA, and the news broke on my phone. And I'm looking at my phone. All of a sudden, I see this ESPN notification pop up. Andrew Luck retired, or it was X or Twitter at the time, whatever, Ian Rappaport or whoever the heck it was reporting it. And I just stood up. Everyone else was sitting down watching the derby. I just stood up, and I'm like this in the stands, like I'm watching a football game. I'm like, Andrew Luck retired. And, it was just like, I'll never forget where I was that night. It's like I got home and I probably watched the same presser 3 or 4 times. I'm like, this is really it. This is really it.
I remember what I was literally in my kitchen preparing dinner, bro. And this is when me and my wife were, I think, what year did he retire?
I think it was 19.
Was it right before COVID? It was right before COVID. So yeah, 19. So this is the first year me and my wife had at our house, and I know I was in the. I just remember I was in the kitchen, and I ended up calling my wife, and I'm like, I know you might not give a shit about what I'm about to say, but I was like, I'm legitimately sad because Andrew Luck retired. Like I just remembered it being like, I'm not even a Colts fan, man. Like, but I'm a Andrew Luck guy. I was like, damn. And then when you watch his press conference, a lot of people had that aura that he was probably going to come back, that maybe this is just one of those things once he gets back healthy. But when he said, he's like, dude, I've rehabbed as much as I can rehab, and this stuff is just not getting any better. Like all the injuries that I've dealt are just like, they have beat me down so much that I just want to focus on my family. And I don't think Andrew Luck makes a decision like that without thinking about every single molecule of that decision, right? Like, I think he broke it down to a science of like, what are the pros of me retiring? What are the cons of me retiring? And there was just so much overwhelming pros to him retiring. I told my wife, I was like, he's not coming back. People can wish upon a star all they want to, but that's a look of a man that really thought about everything. And I know what didn't make it any better. the fans booing him did not make that shit better. Because it
Drunk
was the franchise
assholes.
that he came and it's the franchise that he came and saved that like you guys didn't regress. It was still the highest of highs with him.
It was.
And just to do that, I think that like solidified his decision. Like I think that was the sprinkles. You know, they said the icing on the cake. It was the sprinkles on top of the icing for him. It was like, this is the final. I'm the final boss, man. Like it's over. So I mean, with that, when you watch that press conference, I mean, I know you did. I know you watched that with like a couple tissues beside you, because I did. Like, did you feel the same way? Like everybody could talk about Andrew Luck coming back, but he ain't coming back.
I think I was emotionally blinded for years because of that. I'll have to be honest. I didn't think about it deeply like you just talked about it now, because I think I was so emotionally blinded. I mean,
And as a fan, I
I was
understand that. Yeah.
I was still younger too, like very young. I was maybe 15, 16. So, emotions definitely get the best of you, especially then too.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, he's coming back, man. He's going to be out 1 year. He's coming back and we'll be right back there, So
Yeah.
I was emotionally blinded. I can't say that I thought about that avenue. I just refused to think of that avenue. But now looking back, yeah, that makes sense the way you just put it. It makes sense 100%. I mean, everyone could complain. Everyone could crap on him for, 2 weeks before the season. I thought the timing stunk, but I also understand the guy. He's got a family. There's life after football, man. Like, put yourself in his shoes. Put yourself in that situation. You're getting hurt every year. Do you want to be in a wheelchair by the time you're 45 or 50 when you have kids? Do you want to, he's got a family. He's got kids, man. He's got a life to live outside of football. There's life
Yeah.
after football.
And with that being said, like the reason why I knew that, and this might be a silly reason, but like it holds true. A guy like him that went to Stanford, that was an architecture major, everything is calculated in that man's life, where he knows that any mistake could crumble a whole building, right? And so he's gonna handle himself the same way when it comes to emotional decisions. Like he's going to understand that an emotional decision could be made on a whim, and then I'm back the next year because I was just in the mindset like you are as a fan. Like I'm on the hopium right now. Like this ain't for real. He's coming back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he just needs some time away. But knowing all of that, I mean, that had a lot to do with why I thought he wasn't coming back. I'm like, this dude was an architecture major. Like everything he does in his life is calculated.
Yeah.
And he's gonna know more than anybody else. Like he knows himself. And then just like even seeing him now, bro, like all the weight that he's lost. I mean, he looks good. He just doesn't look in football shape.
Nah.
But like you could tell.
Yeah.
With all the attrition that's happened in his body, he ain't coming back.
No, he's done. That's it. Plus I think he's probably like 38, 39 by now. So, I mean, yeah, but
he's 35 because I'm 35.
Oh, 35. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, Bruce Arians. I don't know if you saw the clip, but there was a Bruce Arians clip going around. He was on a podcast. I don't remember what podcast he was on, but he was asked, if you got to build your Frankenstein quarterback, like you want to pick a certain quarterback's arm, a certain quarterback's football IQ, legs, or they can move, or all that kind of stuff, accuracy, whatever the heck you want to throw in there. Bruce Arians, he was with Peyton. He was with some of the best quarterbacks out there. He said Andrew Luck straight up. And that goes to show you. I think that's a very important clip, for someone to understand how good Andrew Luck really was. And
yeah,
if you want to, talk about, these kind of situations, I mean, the Colts had another very similar situation like this. Not even
Darius Leonard?
not even a couple years later. I mean, Darius Leonard, just like he consistently put up, like 150 tackles a year. He was towards the top. If he was the top. If not, he was towards the top.
He was the same draft class as Quentin Nelson, right?
Yes, and they said at the time, Darius Leonard is the worst draft pick in the entire NFL draft. Well, goes to show you, what
leading tackles for like 5 years straight. Like, come on.
yeah. And on top of that, like he had interceptions, he had forced fumbles, he had everything. He was everywhere. He had sacks. He was awesome. And then it's just a very similar situation with his back. Then it was a training camp one year. They said that his it's a minor back surgery. I mean, I'm not discrediting doctors, world class doctors, but there's also a part to the media where they kind of take stories and they kind of like twist them, kind of. But so they said it was a minor back surgery. I feel like if you're going in for any kind of back surgery, like I said, I'm not discrediting, doctors or anything. I feel like if it's minor, anything with the back, going in
Anything
for
if
surgery,
they
you know what I
say
mean?
back and surgery, that's not no minor procedure, bro. People don't
Exactly.
understand how much you need your back for. Like just the smallest jolting movements, your back is like your body's shock absorber. I mean, think about the way that your spine is set up, right? And then look at a shock on a car.
Yeah,
Almost the same thing. What are we doing
exactly.
here?
Exactly. So you go back, watch Darius Leonard play. He was about as good as they get as linebacker. I think we were talking about Darius Leonard in this situation as well with your Hall of Fame thing, like having different wings. If there was a wing for that, I think Shaquille Leonard, aka Darius Leonard, whatever you want to refer to him as, he should 100% be in that wing as well. I mean, he was the best of the best when he was
I
playing,
agree. I
man.
agree 1000% with that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and you look at I'm I'm kind of glad that you brought him up because it's even proving my point more with like the like a modern wing or like whatever we want to call it. I don't think anybody would question that those two should be in the stretch that they had. And then you look at a guy like Patrick Willis, man. There's no better example to why he retired early than Darius Leonard's situation. The dude was going hard all the time. Everybody knows he's a Hall of Famer. In his short career, he's one of the most feared linebackers because he was a first ballot Hall of Famer off the rip and only played like 8 years of football. And it's gonna be the same thing with Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly is gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let's be completely honest here. Like, and they had really short careers. Unfortunately, with Luke, he had a ton of concussions. Man, you've seen the videos of him like crying on the cart, man, and everything. But this is what Patrick Willis was talking about. Like, I had to protect me at the end of the day. And thank God he didn't end up like in a Darius Leonard situation or his pretty much his partner in crime when it came to the prototypical linebacker and Luke Kuechly. I mean, that was modern day Ray Lewis in the black and white thing, but it was Ray Lewis and you guy up with the Bears. How much on the blank? What I say? I said his name.
So
Brian Urlacher.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was our modern day Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis, and one of them came out worse than the other one for real. So I'm legitimately concerned about the future of Luke Kuechly, to be completely honest. And same
Yeah,
thing
I
with
mean,
Darius Leonard. I know he suffered multiple concussions. Like, let's just be honest here that
yeah,
he never
he
told
did
anybody
have
about.
quite a few concussions. There were a lot in his game, a lot of concussions. So that was definitely starting to become a worry as well. I mean, he typically did have more injuries than not. He was more on the smaller side for linebackers, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Didn't matter. He still was awesome. But one thing that kind of is engraved into my mind about Shaq Leonard, Darius Leonard, is even though he was cut, I think it was Thanksgiving weekend. I'm not sure if you saw this or if you remember this, but Thanksgiving weekend, I believe it was. He was cut. News was out. Everyone knew that dude was still handing out turkeys. It still was that dude was still at a
yeah,
Thanksgiving drive. I mean, the human being that he is, that just confirms, and that just like, yeah, man, that's the guy. That's a great, phenomenal human being, and that's why you love him even more because of that stuff. You could be this great player, you could be an awesome player, but if you're a complete douchebag, if you're a jerk, no one's gonna
yeah,
like you. But if you do things like that for the community, for people, it leaves an impression on people. I mean, people remember that stuff. After being cut, he could have easily went to the shadows, not have done anything. But
yeah,
but you know what he did? He gave out turkeys and he helped people. That right there made me in my mind think he is one of the best Colts to play, even though he didn't play very long. The way he handled himself, the way he conducted himself, and off the field matters in that situation. Sometimes it definitely adds on to it, makes it feel right. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
yeah, I mean that's another situation. But that's all I really got for the Shaq situation, for the Shaq talk. But
yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate that those two careers went down the way that they did, and it's hard pressed to just think about the what ifs. So just know that you got some really good years out of those guys, and they were threatening for, especially my team, for a long time in the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, but I got two more things for you before we wrap this up, man. The first thing that I'm very interested to hear from you and your perspective outside of Tyler Warren, what draft pick were you like, man, we hit the nail on the head, even more, outside of Tyler Warren, that, is going to be a menace for years to come.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with my second favorite first. I'm gonna go with my first, just because
Okay.
I kind of want to get people riled up a little bit. I love the
Yeah.
Riley Leonard pick. He's our he could be the backup quarterback. I'd
I,
even
I,
say, you know what
I
I'm saying?
agree. I agree.
Know what I'm saying? I love the Riley Leonard pick. I watched the John Gruden. I'm not sure if you watched it. It was a John Gruden
I did.
film
I've
or
seen all
whatever it was.
of them. Yep.
He reminds me so much of Philip Rivers. And it was funny because I believe he worked with Philip Rivers. They were saying in that same video. I'm like, this guy
Mhm.
reminds me of Philip Rivers. Like he's a fun player to listen to. He seems fun. He has a great mentality. I'm like, this guy's QB2. This guy's backup. Wait until Colts fans hear this one. They're really gonna want to ride it, But
Right.
I love the Riley Leonard pick. Outside of see, this isn't my favorite pick, but I love the Hunter Wooler pick. I mean,
I do
it
too.
was 7th round, but a
He was
high
a
end,
fifth rounder. And
but a
on a
high
lot of
end,
our boards, he was a fifth
yeah,
rounder as a safety. Yeah.
but a high end special teamer. I think he'd come in and be a really good safety, a really good backer. I mean, I thought Hunter Wooler was an awesome pick, but my favorite pick, it's probably going to be JT Tuimoloau. Is that how you
Yeah.
say it? Was I close enough?
Tui Malau. Yeah.
Tuimoloau. Okay. I just think he has a high ceiling. I believe it was one year where he was insane. And then the next 2 years he was kind of like a letdown, but he had like one of the best seasons
The
and got
2023
yeah.
season. Yep.
Yeah, and I remember watching that Penn State game, and that dude was that dude was just insane. So if he could recapture some of that, if Latu can take the step, if Samson Ebukam can come back and he had the Achilles tear.
Oh my God,
So
dude. He's so talented.
yeah, he
I'm
was
hopeful for
insane.
Samson, man.
He was insane before he tore his Achilles. And once you tear your Achilles, sometimes you never come back the same. I
Yeah.
mean, and he's older too, so that's really making me think, yeah, he may not come back the same. He's older, takes longer to heal. Sometimes you just don't heal right or the same. So, but JT Tuimoloau, forget it.
Tui Malau.
JT. The Colts, every single year, the Colts always draft a player that I can never say their last name. But Tuimoloau, JT, him and Latu, if those two can develop and those two can take a step, I mean, we could have a really nice
The
defensive line this year.
Polynesian sensations. You know how they have the exciting whites with Cooper DeJean and Reed
Yeah.
Blankenship.
Yeah.
The
I
Flying
mean,
Hawaiians.
hey man, I think JT can provide a really fun, opposition to Latu, and I think he maybe not right away, but I think he's going to take Kwity Paye's spot. I think Kwity Paye is going to either go back into like a rotational role, or I believe it's his last year in his contract. So I could see someone else paying Kwity Paye bank. So let him go. Let someone else pay him a lot of money. Keep JT. So I really like the JT pick because it's also thinking into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be my second pick. I know it seems like second round pick, just the first, but I mean,
No,
you know what I mean?
man. And that's why it's interesting because, like, when I think about, I still think, and it hurts a lot of people's souls, but the Dallas Cowboys to me had an S tier draft. I think that they absolutely knocked it out the park. They got so much value, and the way that some of these players fell to them, I was like, to get Donovan Ezeraku and Tyler Booker and Siobhan Ravel. I'm like, all three of those guys are first round picks that they ended up getting in later rounds, which is, outside of, Tyler Booker, of course, but Donovan Ezeraku and, and Siobhan Ravel. And then like a second round running back talent wise and Jadon Blue. I'm like, man. And then they just kept adding on to it. And I'm like, they killed that draft. I think you guys had a really, really good draft, but to me, my favorite pick, and we talked about him a little bit earlier, is DJ Giddens. Like the dynamic that he brings to Jonathan Taylor is almost like I can honestly tell you, Jonathan Taylor was like, I won't have to do as much in the passing game as I had to in the past. I won't have to be in pass pro like that. I can literally just come in, you slide Tyler Warren into the H back and just let us just wreak havoc. Like I feel like it's going to be Optimus Prime and Bumblebee running the football with them too. Like they're going to look like Transformers out there for sure. And I can't wait to see it. You know, unfortunately for the Jaguars, like you're going to have to face that music. But DJ Giddens is what I feel like RJ Harvey was for the Broncos. Like he opens up the passing game, which is just what we talked about earlier, is just another, you know, safety blanket for whatever quarterback is there. Because now you got Tyler, you got him, DJ Giddens, you got Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, you know, Michael Pittman Jr., you got Anthony Gold who can come in for some sub packages here and there. You got Jelani Woods who can still catch the football and be dynamic there. Like, you know, Mo Alley Cox, he can block his ass off when he wants to. This is and the offensive line we don't even have to mention because what's already good doesn't have to be said, right?
I do want to say something on the online though. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
I think the offensive line to begin the year is going to be rough. With Ryan Kelly and Will Fries gone, I think it's going to be very noticeable early on. When you lose a center like Ryan Kelly, you're not only losing a really strong player in itself in terms of like the physical attributes. I think you're losing a leader. Quentin Nelson is also a leader on the line as well. Let's not misconstrue that. I'm not trying to say he's not, but being the center, communication is huge, man. Like you got to point out blitzes or whatever like sets you want to be, you know, they're a big communicator. So losing Ryan Kelly and having a younger guy in there, you did learn from Kelly, which is nice, but not to be on your own. Now, not to have that Ryan Kelly guy. I think there's going to be a bit of a learning curve for this offense line. I don't think a lot of people get it, but I think when you have a new center, especially, or, you know, a lot of new pieces on the offense line, which we're going to have two. And if there's anyone I trust to, you know, get guys in there, it's Chris Ballard. Having a new center, I think there's going to be an adjustment period for this offensive line. And I think in the beginning, people are just going to say, oh, it's a Daniel Jones effect. And I'm just going to be like, put my hands on like, shut up. It's just, you know, we have a new center. It's, there may be an adjustment period. So be ready for that. A lot of Colts fans are going to be like, we should be fine, but expect the adjustment period because I think the offense line is going to struggle early on.
It's nice to have quarterbacks that are able to be mobile, and you drafted Riley Leonard to be the same thing. That's what his identity is now. Even though I think Riley Leonard at Duke was different than he was at Notre Dame. I don't know why that transition happened. He was more of a passer that had, you know, a set of legs that could run, and he turned into just a running quarterback at Notre Dame. Hate that happened, but you know, he directly comes into that quarterback room and feels familiar with, you know, what everybody else is doing right now. And so that offensive line having that dynamic of like scrambling quarterbacks like that allows them a second of more time to get themselves adjusted to. It's just who's going to make the decision faster? Is it Anthony Richardson? Because you know Anthony's going to run. I mean, they're going to set up packages for him to run and just bulldoze people. Daniel Jones, on the other hand, is going to sit there and try to look and then bust out a 60-yard run here and there that you weren't expecting. And then Riley Leonard is kind of like, we don't know yet. You know, it's how Shane Steichen gonna mold him. I think, you know, I just go down the list like Justin Wally from Minnesota, really good corner. Jalen Travis was probably one of the steals of the draft. I was really high on him coming out of Iowa State. Okay. I believe what, you know, Matt Campbell's got going on out there and his offensive structure. The way that he blocked for Rocco Beck last year was absolutely incredible. He didn't get beat a lot on film, never got beat a lot. Really, really physical. Jonathan Taylor's going to love running behind a guy like him. And obviously, you know, if he ends up being in a starting role or like a tweener, like a positional guy that comes in here and there, you got a solid guy that you can build up for. You know, you're missing the Will Fries of the world and things like that. So we can see how that gets done. Tim Smith, awesome pickup from Alabama. Didn't get the burn that he probably deserved. And then we talked about Hunter Warler before. I love that dude. Like his film is pretty rock solid. He's a great. The one thing that I wish people would draft for is great tackle and people on their defense in general. I said it before. I'll say it again. Back in the previous Super Bowl to this last one, when the Eagles lost, is because they weren't a great tackling team. The year that they won, they were an awesome tackling team. Tackling in the NFL and football in general has been so overlooked because of the edge bending edge rushers that can get sacks, or the guy that can go up there and play coverage or get an interception. No, these things are not as important as tackling the football or tackling the ball carrier. It's just not. This is why you get the Saquon Barkleys of the world making everybody look silly with the backwards hurdle. Because guys can't tackle. They're scared to tackle. There should be no reason why he should have hurdled that dude. We're always looking for the big hit instead of just wrapping up. That's the reason why the Buccaneers have been so good with Levante David. You know what? Out of everything that he does, even Darius Leonard, we talked about him earlier. Darius Leonard, Levante David, like just go down a long list of guys that have been like otherworldly linebackers. Fred Warner just got paid a crazy contract, highest paid linebacker in the game. There's a reason why he got paid that much, because you know what you're going to get with him. It might not be spectacular, but he's going to tackle the ball carrier. He's going to tackle the wide receiver that comes across the middle. He's going to tackle the tight end across the middle of the field. Like these are so important. So I think that's what Hunter brings to your team, and he's going to force people to be better in the tackling position. Because I remember you guys drafted Juju Brents, and I know how high that you wanted to be for him too because of the intangibles, and I didn't see it with him, man. Even at the Senior Bowl, I was like, dude's a big kid. I think we've over enamored ourselves with the big, fast, physical guys instead of just getting back to brass tacks. Like, who has the best technique? Like, why can't we go with those guys? Like Xavier Restrepo is going to tear up the league this year if he stays with the Titans with Cam Ward. But everybody says that he ran a 4.8. But when I watched the film, the dude is running past people. So I don't care. You know the difference between a 4.4 and a 4.8? This. That's it.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why we use other technology other than stopwatches. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, on the field, you could definitely feel the speed difference. But really and truly with your eyes, it's not that much of a difference. And if you can play, you can play. He said Juju Brents has been cooking in OTAs. I'm glad that he's cooking in practice, bro.
AR is too, somewhat.
Yeah.
Can't even say fully, somewhat, So what's up, Red? Appreciate you stopping by, man.
The last thing before we get out of here, I'll shout out to Coach, man. Hope you're doing well, bro. Last thing before we get out of here, if you were Chris Ballard, what is that last move that you would make for this season? If it's a trade, if it's a cut, if it's whatever the case may be, what is that move that you still would make to improve this team or to get you a step further to where you want to be?
That's a tough one, because I think if you look at the Colts team, I'm not sure if there's one player, if there's one area where you can look and be like, that's a major issue. That's a major problem. You know what? Cut Anthony Richardson before the season even starts. Cut Anthony Richardson before the season even starts. It's probably not going to happen. Probably a very low chance. But I'm going to say that the chance is there. Or maybe trade him while maybe you could get something out of him. Because after this year, quite frankly, I think he's going to... I think after this year, I think it's going to be done. I don't think there's going to be any more debate. I think that's going to be it. If he even gets the chance to show his face week one. Because I think Riley Leonard's... we've been hearing some really good things out of Riley Leonard for OTAs as well. Like I said, OTAs, take with a grain of salt, but still, you're hearing much better out of OTAs for Riley Leonard and Daniel Jones. Riley Leonard him just coming right in, already looking better, being more consistent, not a good look for Anthony Richardson. But they do have,
Yeah.
but there's that new rule where you have like that third quarterback doesn't take up a roster spot. So that's why I think Anthony Richardson makes the roster. But either cut AR before the season, trade him. Either one, I don't care. You're probably not going to get a lot for him, but if you could get a 6th or 7th, screw it. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, having 8 draft picks is better than having 7.
Yeah.
No brainer.
No. Maybe you could trade Pittman. Maybe if a receiver goes down for a team that's expected to be really good
Or a
this year.
package deal for both of them. Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
What you want for him?
That's a solid idea, yeah. Because then that could maybe up that value a little bit more with Pittman, but Pittman's being paid so much money. I don't know who's going to want to pay him that much. We might have to pay partial because I think that's the thing they do. We could pay him partially, maybe 10 here, 10 there. I wouldn't mind that.
He might be willing to restructure if he goes to a team from California. I mean, that's where he's from. So
right.
I've said that even about the Jalen Ramsey thing. A lot of Raiders fans follow us, and Jalen Ramsey has come out and said that's the team he wants to play for. But the thing is, you got to eat 25 mil of his contract. But I'm like, a restructure can happen where you could, if he wants to go to if you trade him to the team he wants to go to, I'm almost 1,000% sure that his mental state of being on the team he wants to play for would garner him wanting to restructure his contract to get there. And so it works for both ends, right? So, I don't know if teams think about it like that, and maybe some teams just don't bite at the fact that they're already turned off by like, this is the contract and what it is, or we've already evaluated this player. And you got to think about it like this too, man. Just because the Colts had AR-15 or AR-5, whatever his name is now, they had him in the, drafting a 4th overall, doesn't mean that anybody else had him that high either. You know what I'm saying? So
what the Niners? What a good example. The Niners trade up for Trey Lance, right? But you drafted Brock Purdy. What, Mr. Irrelevant? Brock Purdy came in. Perfect example of us talking about earlier about quarterbacks not being the fastest, not having the greatest of arms. Brock Purdy is probably one of the hardest working quarterbacks out there. So he does everything else so damn well. He reads the field so well. The anticipation, the pocket presence, all that stuff is just through the window, and that's the most important stuff. Those are the most important things, So that's a perfect example right there. I mean, just because you draft the guy number 4 overall doesn't mean that he should, be there longer than he should. You know what I mean? But there is another rumor that has been floating out around all offseason for the Colts. That's Trey Hendrickson to the Colts. Maybe you could put Kwity Paye in that package. Maybe Kwity Paye is another guy that could be out there on the market. I don't think he should be. I think he should still stay unless you're trading for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, or maybe you could include Samson Ebukam. Maybe they're hoping on the potential he comes back good, but teams don't really do that, especially after Achilles tear.
Yeah.
At 30 years old. But I mean, Trey Hendrickson has been a big talk, and I don't think edge rushers are going to be our problem. My biggest worry is if Buckner or Stewart go down. If one of those two go down for the season, I think we might be in some big trouble. Tim Smith, he's younger, and I think he's got good potential. But I mean, is he going to step in there and provide a presence like Buckner or Stu right away? Probably not. So if one of those two guys go down, it may be a long season on the interior, but the edge rushers may be there. So I don't know. Maybe trading for Trey Hendrickson. Maybe you could. No, I don't even know if you should try Kwity Paye in the interior. I don't know, but
you're better off trying JT Tuimoloau in the interior than you are Kwity Paye. I think.
So then maybe that's worth a shot. Then
maybe Latu as well. I mean, he's a big kid, and he's played. I mean, he played all over that offensive line for UCLA. So maybe that's a spot where he could try his hand as well.
Right, and not only the fact of them getting hurt, they're also getting older. So there's going to be a year where it's going to start to decline. And Buckner's awesome. I think he's still got a good couple years left in him, but it doesn't mean he's always that, within these last couple of years, it's going to be top of the line, best of the best play. It may still be good, but it may not be great. And you don't always need great top of the line at every single position.
Right.
But I think defensive tackle depth, that's definitely something, if we get the chance to trade for someone, do it. You know what I mean? I think that can be important. And one more statement for me before we get out of here is I did want to bring this up when we were talking about Giddens. I think Giddens is a bigger version of Nyheim Hines. Could be wrong. You watch his film, so you would definitely know more than me. But would you say
Hmm.
he is like a bigger, more of a, maybe not necessarily a workhorse, but maybe he's more of a better all around snap time, three down kind of a guy than Nyheim Hines, but similar in a way?
It's interesting that you say that. Yeah, I think that's an excellent comparison. You bring me back to the Naeem Hines and Marlon Mack days. Like,
Oh, I
don't do
love
this to
Marlon
me.
Mack, man. Jordan Wilkins was fun too. Yeah.
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 Um, yeah, I think Naeem Hines had more of the mentality that he can put a shoulder into somebody for sure. And I think that's what was so appealing about him is like, Naeem Hines, he'd juke the shit out of you in a second. And I think DJ Giddens has that ability too. But always his Achilles heel as well was how consistent he was in the passing game. Like, you know, he used to drop some easy ones, man. Those well routes were. I remember the wheel routes against Jacksonville. He wasn't as successful with those. And I think DJ brings more of that. Like, not the fact that he couldn't do it, right? Naheem could. I mean, he was an otherworldly talent until he got into his little accident on the jet ski. But outside of that, I think that's a pretty good comparison of what DJ Giddens is. I do think this is high praise for DJ Giddens, and I'm not saying he's going to be this guy, but when I watch film on DJ, it reminds me a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay.
And so, if you get Jahmyr Gibbs, you're going to be really, really happy. Like, I mean, the better version of David Montgomery is Jonathan Taylor. Like, you know what I'm saying? It would just be the reverse. Like, Jameer's the number one out there, and then David. It would be the reverse here. It would be Jonathan is the number one, and DJ would be the number two, which is great. I mean, but that's where the league is moving into. You got to have three solid running backs right now that are interchangeable, and that's why, like, not to bring them up, but another team that's in our conference is the Browns. Like, you getting Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, and you still got Jerome Ford there. Like, people don't understand how good of a three-headed monster, like, running back core that is. And you guys could be the same way with the DJ Giddens pickup as well. It's just, can Jonathan stay healthy? Can we mold him just to carry the rock instead of trying to do all this other stuff? I would say that should be your game plan this season. Like, you got two running backs that can do everything else. Let Jonathan be the one that just runs the rock and just hammers it downfield. He's taken too many hits already. So if you can lower that threshold of, we're not going to put him in pass pro. This is just ridiculous. Like, we're not going to have him do swing passes and do that, even though he can. But why did we draft DJ Giddens who could do that stuff? Do some sub packages, let DJ Giddens do that, and just run the rock down people's throats with Tyler. I know we were like visioning it, right? Like, oh, this is the crazy thing to think about. But it would be a sight to behold of whatever quarterback handing it off to Jonathan Taylor on a counter play, and you have Tyler Warren at the H back, and them just tearing up the middle of the field every single time, man. I think that's where we could get for sure. So
Yeah. Colts have a high ceiling, man. I really think they do. I think with Daniel Jones, the Colts are a playoff team. With Anthony Richardson, the Colts are going nowhere near the playoffs. That's my take. That's my big thing going into this season, and I agree with you. I agree with you on the Giddens stuff. That's
yeah.
I mean,
What,
you got
what's
to take
the
someone
still? What's the ceiling and the floor for the Colts this season?
ceiling. Schedule is not a horrible schedule. I'd say the ceiling is 11 or 12 wins. I say the floor, even if Anthony Richardson starts, I still think the Colts can win maybe 6 to 8 games. I'll say the absolute floor will be 6. If Anthony Richardson is really bad, if he starts majority of the year, but I really don't think that's going to be the case. I think the Colts are going to, but where do I think the Colts will be? I think 10 or 11 wins is fair if Daniel Jones is starting. Even if Anthony Richardson starts a couple games, I still think he's capable of winning with this team. But I think there's going to be a point where, okay, Daniel Jones gives us the much better chances to succeed. Like you kind of said, you think you were saying that Shane Steichen was on the hot seat a little bit. So Shane Steichen wants the best guy out there now. He doesn't want, to keep experimenting with Anthony Richardson. He wants a guy that's going to give him the best chance to be here in Indianapolis in the future. So Daniel Jones starting, there's a good chance that Jones starts. Ceiling with Daniel Jones is 11, 12 wins. Floor with Anthony Richardson. That's kind of a perfect way to put it. Daniel Jones gives you the ceiling. Anthony Richardson gives you the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
I agree with you there for sure. I mean, we've said this many times. I think the success of this team lies with what Daniel Jones can provide to you. But what makes this all interesting for teams that are on the fringe like you guys that are just a couple pieces away from, I mean, let's be honest, like outside of finding your quarterback and maybe getting a premier corner that can come in there and a linebacker, like you were saying, like those are three pieces that can easily be replaced in free agency and in the draft. More importantly, next year's draft and the year after that, the amount of quarterbacks that are coming out that could immediately be number one. If people suck at quarterback the next 2 years coming up, it's their own fault. I mean, I don't know what to tell them, but I mean, you guys are in a really good position of having a very competitive quarterback room right now. Cause I look at it like the Browns quarterback room. Like Joe Flacco still wants to prove that he's the guy. He don't want to be a mentor. Kenny Pickett is in the ultimate situation where he wants a career resurgence and doesn't want to be known as the first round bust. Dylan Gabriel has proven in college that I can go anywhere, learn any playbook, and win and have an undefeated team, and we're just a couple pieces away from winning a national championship. But I'm my intangibles, my height is what people scream with that. And then Shador getting drafted in the 5th round, getting a little bit of a piece of humble pie. People are understanding that he's not the quarterback that people thought he was. And the NFL proved that. Now he wants to prove himself too, that he's not, you didn't just get handed a job. You look at the, the Colts situation, it's a little bit like that. It's Anthony Richardson wants to prove that I'm not the guy that just quit on my team. Daniel Jones, man, I've been a journeyman going from the Giants where I got beat the hell up, didn't know who my offensive coordinator was every single year, had 3 head coaches, wide receivers always hurt, didn't have a great running game. Saquon was hurt sometimes. The offensive line, I got beat up. Went to Minnesota, was under KOC, who's a great coach as far as quarterbacks go. I got to see Sam Darnold had a success. I got to be in the same room as a promising quarterback like JJ McCarthy. I got to learn what a good team does. And now I'm with the Colts where I've got everything set up. I want to prove myself that I'm not what people said I am. And then you got Riley Leonard, national championship quarterback, transfer from Duke to Notre Dame, smart kid, soaking it all in. Maybe he's the future for you guys. It's so competitive with those two quarterback rooms, and I'm interested to see who starts week 1, who does well in the preseason, who's like the guy there. And then by the time week 8 comes around, what that shift is going to look like. Is it the guy that started week 1 stays the quarterback? I definitely think week 8 for you guys and the Browns are going to be the most interesting things to watch as far as the quarterback position. Because like I said, I think Shane is on the hot seat, regardless of what people want to say. It has not been good. I mean, it has not been good enough. Let's just put it like that. And now what makes it interesting, rest in peace to Jim Irsay, but ownership has changed now. And it changed really quick in the middle of at the beginning of pretty much the season now. Like we're at the beginning of the next year. And so how's that the new ownership going to change the aspect of what this team? It might be more aggressive. Chris might not get the leash that he's been getting on some years. It might be this is one and done for you, and Shane Steichen might be one and done for you, and we're moving on to the next people. I mean, his daughter's supposed to be the new owner coming up, right? Like his successor.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's expected to take it over.
So that's interesting, but it doesn't mean that she's going to roll the same way her dad's going to roll.
Right.
She's new to this. She's been around it, but it's just like starting a job for the first time. Yeah, I might know this job. I might know how to do things, but it's nothing like doing the job for the first time. At my new place, they do things differently, and so I gotta move a little differently too. Man, I can sit here and talk about the Colts and football with you all day, man. I have another one lined up at 6:00 to talk some college football, but I'm definitely going to make this a regular occurrence between us and all the other people that I had on. It's so interesting to have a great conversation about with people that are as critical of their team as they are with any other team too, and can see things through a wide angle lens for sure. But before we get out of here, man, let the people know any final thoughts that you have and where we can find you.
Oh man, I mean, go Colts, man. Let's do it for Irsay this year. I mean, look at the Pacers. If there's any basketball fans out there, look at the Pacers in the finals, man. Could they? I think they're big underdogs to Oklahoma there, but let's hope the Pacers can pull it out for Jim Irsay, and then come fall, late summer, it's the Colts' turn to go do something. Could the Colts be that team that runs off of emotional energy and really finds a way? It's only a dream. It's only a dream, but I love to see the Colts go and do something this year. Daniel Jones, you're the man. You're the man, DJ. So yeah, man, the Colts have a high ceiling with Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. I really have no clue. I think it's going to be not so good what they are, but we'll see. Appreciate you guys for joining us here today. I mean, I had an awesome time sitting here and talking some football. I mean, I learned so much from you. I learned so much from just sitting here and talking about some Colts football, talking about the draft picks, because you're really good with your draft, your college guys. You your shit,
Yeah.
man. You're good with that, but you put in the work. You put in the work, and that's what it takes.
I always tell people I embrace being wrong all the time. You'll see me make a video that say, "Hey, I was wrong about this player," but nobody will beat themselves up more than me when it comes to this. And I encourage everybody to do the same thing. Look, I look at a loss as something that I can learn from. That's just how I've always lived my life, right? And so when somebody's like, "Oh, you're wrong," pull out the rap sheet of all the times that I was right. You know what? It's too damn long for you to remember, and that's why you can't point anything out specifically. So I've been right, a lot of the time. I mean, that you've been watching us for a long time, where we just hit, one after another. But when I'm wrong, I like to be wrong more because I want to know what didn't I see that everybody else saw. I'll tell you one that I was confident in. Jason, I'll tell you, you probably seen the clip. I was confident in this dude was going to be a bust. I just he just had bust written all over him, and everybody was so high on him. Christian Gonzalez came in and elbow dropped me. I said I was never more sure about this guy being a. Yeah, I watch my words carefully now, but you know what I did is I went back and I was on my wife will tell you I was on the rampage. I watched 2 years worth of film on Christian Gonzalez and tried to point out something. And you know what it was? It was just he was so good at being a corner fundamentally that people just didn't throw his way. People were just too scared of his speed and his intangibles. And it was nothing flashy. And so what I saw was like, it's not flashy, so he sucks. No, he wasn't flashy because he was good. And so that's, I always have to go in there with that. So if out of anything, any content creators watching this that get a little inspired on, talking about teams and things like that, I would embrace being wrong. And be hard on yourself because there's always something that you can learn about a different player, a different style of play, a different system, and make you a better content creator as well at the end of the day. So, but yeah, man, I love it. I know you embrace, the same thing. Failure is always the best teacher in anything. So I love, I used to coach my players, and if you guys take away anything from this live stream, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I heard that from a coach one time, and I always tell people that. I tell my wife that, like, she's about to start a new job, and I said, it's okay. Be uncomfortable with being, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because you know what? it's you always build up in your head that something's going to be much worse than it actually is, and then that relief that you have is like, I was even though I was uncomfortable with it, I was comfortable in the moment knowing that it's going to be something new. So treat every day the same way with anything that you do. Jason, I appreciate you coming on, man. Always an enlightening conversation. We'll get you back. You're always welcome over here whenever you want to come on, and I'm always open book when you want me on as well. So until next time, guys, this has been the handoff. We'll see you guys later, and everybody have a great rest of your week because it is Monday. Start off your week right with a bowl
Start
of
the week off
Wheaties.
strong, guys. Let's go. We got this.
All right, guys. See you
You guys
later.
take care. Thank you.